Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So those of you that clicked on the link in my previous video, great, welcome back. For those of you that are new, well, I got a set of Boost Auto Part tow mirrors here that I'm going to uncover. And I got a set of light pods here that I'm putting in my mirrors. So I'll grab those right now. But I've searched YouTube over and over. I've searched forums, all sorts of forums. I couldn't find anything on how to install these light pods into your tow mirror, so I figured I'd make a YouTube video on how to, so other people out there can know how. So get this here, and we'll just jump right into today's video, and we'll get underway. What you guys really come here for? So put down the camera here, and we'll get started. So we'll start by uncovering the mirror here. So the first thing we're going to do is take off the glass. So what you're going to do is put your hand underneath here, tilt it up a little bit, just wiggle your fingers in there. It's not too hard, but just firmly enough, just pry up. Use two hands if you have to, more surface area. It's a little bit of a trick, it's a pain in the butt. That. Be careful not to lift up right away. There's a bunch of wires in the back still. Some for your heating in the mirror. There's just two little ones you pull out of the contacts. And then the turn signal. Just pull it out too. That'll come out just like that. You can see just one little tab that broke. So before we go put it on next time, we can just put a little bit of hot glue on there and stick it back on. Put that off to the side here. For the bottom one, the same kind of thing. Tilt it down and just put your fingers underneath it and just firmly apply underneath, and you can hear it pop. Just like that. Perfect. All tabs are still on. If you guys do end up breaking a piece of glass by any chance, Boost Auto Parts does have all sorts of replacements. So as you can see here, pretty straightforward. We just got one screw here, second one, third and fourth, so on. So we'll get that undone too. And once we get that off, there'll be a little connection underneath the light here. We'll pull up. So we'll get that. Just grab my screwdriver here. It's a Phillips. Pull that off to the side. And then we're left with this, all this wiring here. So before we even do anything, what I always do is just a good practice to extend the mirror all the way. Just like that. Move these glass pieces out of the way. So for those of you that have the normal dotted front little running light here, and you guys are wanting to put switchbacks in, this screw right here, and this screw up here, and then it just comes right out. Then you put your switch back in, put the screws in place, and then this orange wire here, this is going to be your running light power. So this is what's going to make it white. That's what that does. And this blue one is actually going to be your turn signal function. You will have to cut this black and white one here off. And for ground, it's just this black wire in here. I don't know if you guys can see that in the plug-in. It's just black wire. This is T-tapped into the ground for the whole mirror. Throughout the whole mirror, this gray wire is the ground for your reverse light and everything too, so it just taps into that. So that's pretty straightforward. Switchbacks are super easy to install. So I'm gonna get ahead and show you guys how to put these light pods in. So guys, this is our rigid light pod here. Always extend the mirror first, because if you don't and you keep it contracted all the way, when you go to wire this in, you'll most likely forget about it. You'll mount it on the truck, and the first time you go to extend it, it's going to be all just wires, or won't let you extend, or you'll just pull the wires right out and you'll have to take it all apart again. So extend the mirror all the way. Then you'll see this is our light pod here, so we're going to drop it in here. You guys can tell there, it does not sit flat at all. It sticks up quite a bit there, so you can see that. It's a good decent amount. So what we're going to have to do, so on the inside here, you'll see it's kind of beveled. There's no flat surface at all, like all of it's all just round. So we're going to have to sand on this front part here, just this little front half. Don't touch the back half. Just this little front half here up to this little lip. We're going to have to sand this down a little bit, and same with the top here. You want to get it 50-50 even. Sand a little bit here, sand a little bit there, sand a little bit here, there, you know, same thing over and over until it fits. So we're going to do that. I got some good grit paper here. So I use this coarser stuff. That's what I use for first pass. It's a 40 grit. That's what it is. Don't want to push too hard. Don't want to make scoring in it too deep. So that's what I use for that. I don't know. I'm going to say I sand about for 10-15 seconds. And then I'll go to this lighter grit here. I'm not too sure entirely what this is. I'm going to say it's an 80 grit. And then I just go the other way, sanding back and forth to go not with the grain, because you want to get rid of your marks there. And then to touch it up at the end, I use this 180 grit. I just lightly go back and forth this way on it. Be careful, guys. Do not touch the face of these, because it will show. It will most definitely show. It's not even funny. So we'll go ahead and get started for that, and I guess I'll do a little bit of time lapse for you guys. So there you go, guys. Be careful. It's with plastic. You can get a lot sanded pretty quick. I've only been sanding for not even 5 minutes now. It's a good idea to keep a clean rag handy. Just wipe out all the excess particles here. And be patient. That's the key, guys. It's really honestly the most important thing I could tell you is just be patient. Go slow. Don't rush it. My first one, I got frustrated quite a little bit, but be patient. So we're going to test fit that rigid pod here now. We'll grab it. Let's see what we're looking like. So from the top view, it's a little bit tighter on this side here and a little bit looser. You can just see it wiggles. If you guys ever noticed, before you start sanding your mirrors, these are actually beveled in too. So you got to sand a little bit more on this side than you do on this side. So it's a good thing to keep in mind. For depth wise, we still got a bit to go for sure. So be patient, guys. This thing I could tell you. I'll update you guys again here when I get this nice and flat. We'll move on to the next step. So guys, it's been about 2 hours that I've been sanding now, and I've finally got it to the point, I think, where I can fit it in. Look at all that plastic that I've sanded off. It's quite a bit. So we'll go ahead and test fit the light pod here. Just move the wire out of the way. It's a little hard with one hand here, so give me a second. There we go. Alright, it's the light pod, so you just want it to just drop in like that. Drop in. It's still sticking up a tiny bit. If I just give it a little bit of pressure, it slides in, it's about right flat flush. Now it is important you don't want it too tight, otherwise these arms here, they will rub on the inside and it will be very difficult to extend and retract. Just beware of that. Just wanted a nice snug little fit, nice and flat like that. So now the next step would be to drill the hole to mount them. So I've already gone ahead here with my calipers and I've measured from the front of the light pod to the center of the hole. It's 1 3/4 inches. So what we're wanting to do, we're going to measure from the front flat here of the mirror to 1 3/4 inches. You guys can see, it's a little hard to see on camera, but it's just right before, like a little hairline before that seam line down there. If you guys can see that, the seam line is just right before it. And we will be drilling in 1/4 inch of a hole. That is like perfect size to fit the plug wire here. You guys can see it's a little tight there. There you go. Just fits there. And that is 1/4 inch. So that's the hole we will be drilling. It'll work for the bolt as well. So got the drill here, so let's go ahead and drill that right quick. It is also to keep in mind too that you only want it, you don't, like for vertical wise, you don't want it too high, you don't want it too low. So you guys can see, the hole down there. So you kind of want to drill your hole a couple hairs above where this chamfer is, this little 45. See the bottom of the circle just about touch the top of that 45, so we're just going to drill our hole the same way. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll put down the camera.
Wrong way.
So we got the hole drilled now. Now we're going to install the light pod. If you guys have gotten to this point, you've probably already tried installing the light pod yourself, possibly. If not, I'm going to show you a little trick. So we're going to put our bolt through the hole here. They come with Rigid Industries stainless steel one, the short one. And we're going to have 2 washers in there with our nut. Now, if you guys are trying to put this in right now, you'll realize it's a real pain in the fucking ass. And it's basically impossible. The washers keep falling, the nut keeps falling, something keeps falling. Just going to grab our 5mm Allen key here. And we're just going to tighten this short nut. Tighten it in. Tighten it in. Oh, it's tight. Now we're going to really snug it down. So we're going to squish that nut against those washers nice and tight. We're going to slowly back off that bolt. Now if you're lucky at this point, the nut may have pinched itself between the light pod washers. Didn't work the first attempt, so I'm going to try again here. Nice and tight, got a good grip. Now we're going to do it. Perfect. So the second time it has stayed, you guys can see it's wedged in there. So that's perfect. So what we're going to do, we're going to gently put that down. We're going to go ahead, we're going to install our actual longer bolt with all the washers on it on the inside of the mirror. We're going to put it through like that. We're going to take our two little rubber gaskets here, and we're going to slide it right on the end of the bolt. Now we're going to take our light pod carefully. We're going to set it down face first in between this part here that's extended. We're just touching the table, then we're just going to slide it over in the mirror. Just like that. If you guys drilled your hole right, you should line right up. If it's a little tight, that means you guys need to do a little bit more sanding. You should be able to slide right over just like I am here. A little bit of wiggle. Start twisting the bolt. Alright, it's going like that. Now we're going to grab our 10mm wrench. And we're just going to slowly tighten that down and see how it fits. There, so you can go ahead and snug it up. You don't want it overly tight, but you don't want it loose either because you don't want it rattling in the mirror. Now, let's check out, see what's going on. Now at this point, you guys may be wondering what the fuck. It no longer mounts flush, you cannot push it back in, it's sticking out. So, if you guys look real close at it, the mirror is actually curved on that side. And right where it bolts is on that curved surface. So with that bolt, putting it tight, it's going to pinch it nice and flat against the side of the light pod against the mirror. That is going to cause it to come out. So we're going to have to Dremel that down a little bit. So we'll go ahead and take the light pod back out again. Now if you guys be careful enough at this point, you'll still see that nut and washer will still be wedged in there. If not, if yours come loose, you may have to do that trick again I showed you. So you guys can see it's curved right in here. So what we're going to have to do, we're going to have to Dremel this down where this hole is a little bit. So you guys look at it, you can see it is on an angle. So we're going to have to make it so it is flat. So we'll go ahead and do that with the Dremel. So you guys can see there I got my flashlight underneath the mirror. So you can see the fins are touching all around the edges. Except for right here there's a gap. It's a little bright with the light, but that's where the bolt will be going. If you guys look closely, it's hard to see because the light is so bright. There's a fin right there at the end of my fingernail. And that is actually touching the plastic or pretty close right now. It's really hard to see with that bright light. But anyways, we're going to have to Dremel down this little 45 here too. Same with on the top, and we're going to have to make it flat for all these fins on the sides because that bolt hole isn't even touching right now. So go ahead, do a little bit of a time lapse again for you guys. you guys can see, it's a bit better. It's not quite flat in there, but it's almost. Just keep on drumming a little bit more. So guys, it's been a long time, but I finally got it done now. It's taken me quite a bit to sand them. It's actually a real pain in the ass. You can see this one's all done here. And this one I haven't put in yet. This is kind of what you want it to look like on the inside per se. Just nice and sanded. Be careful not to get too close to the edges there. And do not get on the front of this black piece here, because you will see that from the front if you sand that. So you don't want to see that at all. As you guys can see here, so you got to make a little bit of a flat little section here for that light pod to bolt to, so it sits flat. That's what that's for, because this whole mirror is curved, right? It's all rounded. It's slightly rounded here, and then it hits that center seam, and it just takes right off. And it goes the outside like this one here. There's that gap there, as you guys can see. So that's what that looks like. So anyways, for you guys that also got switchbacks, I think you just got to cut the one blue wire here and then frickin' tie in a T-tap here and tie into the common ground, which is great. But I'll post a link in the description below for you guys. Boost Auto Parts has got a really good video on that, how you guys how to do that. So leave that one in the description. You guys can check that out. So that's a whole different video. Anyways, we'll go ahead. We'll put this last little light pod in here. As you guys can see on this mirror, I've already pre-drilled a hole here, so that's gonna be for the wire going through. Like I mentioned before, here's my bolt that's going on the inside. Put that through the mirror. And I also got these little O-rings. That focus. So they're about an inch in inner diameter, and they're about 3/8 outside diameter. So I'm just gonna put that on the outside between the mirror and the light pod to hopefully help that hole seal a little bit, and it'll give it that extra room for surface imperfections as well. So get that installed here, and then do a little bit of time lapse and fast forward while I drill a hole in this one, and then I'm gonna get these light pods all wired in and soldered up. You guys will see that in the video. So we get going. So guys, I just want to add here, if you want to clean it up a little bit, on the inside there, the light pods out before you finally assemble it all together, what I did was I used 400 grit sandpaper here. I just lightly went over it, cleaned up all nice and whatnot. So you get that, and for your little wire here, you guys will notice this is the plug that comes with your harness, and what you want to do, you'll extend this one here first. Always wire it fully extended. That way, when you go to actually extend your tow mirrors in your truck, when you need them, you won't run out of wire and won't break anything off. So as you guys can see, if you feed through a hole here, go up around the loop, and the plug's not long enough to make it out of the mirror. So what I did here is on this light pod here, I cut it at about 4 inches or so, somewhere inside. And I just got some 18 gauge wire. That's what I'm going to use when we're soldered on to here. And I'm going to attach the plug back on in here, and we'll go to the truck so I can still connect or disconnect the mirror if I ever decide to take it off in the future. So we'll get that started. We'll get going here. Let's drill the hole first on this one. Put this cable off. wires through the arm here. I'm going to show you guys how to take off this top cover here. So it's really easy. We're just going to take a small flat head screwdriver and be very careful. You see there's like a little tab just sticking right here. Just wedge that in a little. Just pry it up. Nice and slow. And once you get that side, do the same to the other side. Back to the side and just wiggle it. Wiggle it till it pops up and out. And you can just literally pull on it. Pull up and slide out. Just like that. You guys can see there. That focus, come on, there we go. There's that tab. Right there, there's one on the other side too. Just goes underneath the edge of this plastic here. Careful not to mark up the plastic. So this is where we're going to be running our wires through. So we're going to be going around in here. We loop around and we'll follow these ones through the arm, through here. Then it'll drop down in this hole and out the end here. So that's how that's going to go. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wire these all up, then I'll update you guys when I get those done. Man, that thing's fucking bright. Going. Putting the lights back on here. So the key to doing this is to be very patient. It is a long time. It is actually very frustrating. You get to a point where it's all Dremel down and you think it's going to be perfect, so you go ahead and you take that little bit off, and you mount them in, you expect to be perfect, but it's way out of whack. I've ran into that lots, so just be careful of that. Lots of patience, and yeah. So guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, give it a like, subscribe. Like I said, I did a bunch of research. I couldn't find a video on how to do it at all, so now I got a video on. Let me know down in the comments below if I should tint the light pods or just leave them how they are. I wanted to give it a little bit of smoke to match this, but I think this is just a little too dark. So in the new year I may end up getting something a little bit lighter. We'll see how it goes. So you guys let me know in the comments below, and if you want to see how I wire them in and whatnot, check out my other video. I'll leave the link in the description below. So that's it. See ya.